Welcome to this special council. It's 2 minutes past 6, so I thought we would start as promptly as we could. Just a reminder to everyone that this is being filmed and streamed on YouTube. And also, if you could take note of the fire evacuation procedures, which are up on the overhead projector. Firstly, apologies.
Just we've had apologies from Councillors Paul Donnelly, Graham Elliott, Fitzherbert, Hill, Millward, Purdy, Statham, Tilbrook and Wild.
Thank you very much. Public participation, we haven't got anyone recorded to speak. Move on to item 3. Anyone got any interest to declare? Okay, so we'll move on to item 4, which is the main business, which is the leisure review. Can I hand over to Ashley Watts?
Thank you, Chair. Members, if I may just start off by expressing appreciation for all of those who've helped pull the report together and the review at this point. It's been a really good team effort from within the District Council, with support from HR, legal, marketing, our facilities department, finance, as well as some excellent support from the procurement department at Derbyshire County Council. To my left, some members will be familiar with Damien Adams from FMG Consulting, who has supported us through this process right from 2014-15, and just extend our gratitude to the support and excellent service Damien has given, as well as Dave Turby and Rob Wilkes from Community and Environmental Services, who worked on this process throughout. I'll move into the report. I appreciate that there is a lot of information for members to digest. It has been a long process. There's been a lot to take into account. We've had periods of consultation with members. We've had previous workshops to gauge a feeling from members on what is important to them, what areas that we would like to retain as an organisation, areas that we would like to build on. We've spoken to users of facilities, clubs, groups and other partners who support delivering the service that we have done for so many years. And I will try this evening just to pick out the key points of the report. Happy to take questions afterwards, but if I can focus on the key elements, I'm happy to walk members through that. And I think I will start off by talking about the contract in itself and the recommendation that we're making to award a contract to Freedom Leisure Limited, and the duration of that contract will be for 10 years with an option to extend for a further 5. You will hear me talk this evening about a variant bid and a core bid, and you will have seen reference to it in the report. Just to explain, a core bid is the minimum requirements that we were asking for bidders to submit, and that was for the day-to-day operational management of the leisure centres, and the other option was what we refer to as a variant, which was the day-to-day operational management of leisure centres and to take on full liability for repair, maintenance and life cycle costs of those facilities. Freedom Leisure, just to give some background into them, are a well-established not-for-profit leisure trust. They were born out of a local authority in the south of England. They have expanded to the point where they now have a portfolio of approximately 50 sites across England and Wales. They have recently been awarded contracts in Stafford, Lichfield and East Staffordshire, and have experience of delivering services within rural communities, and that was reflected quite clearly within their bid. They have a strong emphasis on working with partners and communities, which is very much aligned to the work that we have been doing as a service and as an organisation now for a number of years. and we can take comfort in the fact that they also have extensive experience in what they refer to as a mobilisation period, and I will come on to that, where if members approve, we move to a handover period, and that's where they're familiar and can structure that process to support staff, our customers and colleagues who will remain at the District Council through that process. The key points that I'd like to pick out will follow the format of the specification that was drawn up through the consultation that I mentioned previously and through the workshops that we have done with members. And the first one that I'd like to talk about is the investment and innovation that is going to be brought to this contract if Freedom are appointed. And that the first point is improved and use new technology to improve customer experiences. That could be ranging from an improved website or leisure-specific website, so for customers who only want to access information regarding leisure activities or the leisure centre, it's a friendly, user-friendly website, easy to navigate, and all the information is close to hand on there. They can make bookings as well as payments through that. Freedom are also in the process of developing an app for mobile devices, so people again can see timetables, availability of classes, and can make bookings through the app. There's also a software program called Learn2, which will help parents and people who are attending courses see how they're progressing through that course. Information is posted on a private area for that person, but our instructors and teachers will be able to update their progress as they go along. For example, swimming lessons is a great way for parents to keep up to speed on their child's progress and see what's coming up in future weeks. There's also an improvement for group exercise classes with the introduction of the Les Mills programme, which is the kind of go-to programme or brand for exercise classes. It's a premium standard of class and very desirable for gym or exercise class users. They will retain the Gladstone system that we currently use to manage our memberships and payments, and in addition to retaining that, they will upgrade to allow for online booking and payments. They also have a great focus on ethically sourced cafe and vending produce, including fair trade and rainforest aligned products. Looking at each site individually, I'd just like to pick out some of the key features of where we feel their investment and innovation stands out. To start with ARC, there will be a full replacement of the health and fitness equipment in year 5 of the contract, but there will be some minor improvements in year 1 as well. There will be an upgrade to the children's splash pad area near the teaching pool at ARC. There will also be the installation of Pool View, which is a drown protection system which monitors, it's a computer-aided monitoring system which supports the lifeguards. It does not replace lifeguards, it's there to help them. There is a big footprint of a pool there. This monitors stationary bodies and alerts the lifeguard to their presence. There's also going to be the introduction of virtual classes, so people who are wanting to attend a fitness class and doesn't have a requirement for an instructor, or if an instructor is not available or a class time is not available for a customer, they'll be able to access virtual classes during the day. There's also going to be the introduction of a sensory room for families with additional needs, and this wasn't part of the specification. This is added value from Freedom, and they're going to convert one of the underused changing cubicles to support this. There will also be a new cafe layout and design, and they will be working with Blueberry Cafe, who are currently in contract at ARC, to support this. The final point really I want to make at ARC in terms of investment is we as an authority, and one of the recommendations you will see are recommending that we invest £1.2 million from the capital reserve to support the improvements that Freedom wish to make. We see this as a commitment from the authority to improving our facilities to our residents and visitors. We will still own those facilities, they are not going to be transferred. It's simply the management of those and the responsibility to maintain, but that £1.2 million investment is going to see improvements in the early years. One of those is the development of a soft play area, a group exercise studio and a children's party room at ARC. What I would like to bring to members' attention regarding this is that currently the sports hall is a forecourt hall. The introduction of this will see that reduced to a three-court sports hall. That being said, we have discussed this as the review team for a number of weeks and strongly believe that the benefits of this outweigh those that may be affected by the introduction of this. There are options for those who are affected where we believe we can work with them and Freedom to try and relocate them to another area. I would say there is a possibility that some groups may not wish to move, may not be happy with the outcome of the introduction of this, and I don't want to mislead members to otherwise. Ashbourne Leisure Centre, again, there's going to be a full replacement of health and fitness equipment in year 5 of the contract. There'll be further development of the indoor cycling studio, building on what we've already achieved there. There will be a much needed refurbishment of the minor hall. There'll be an improvement of the group exercise studio in terms of lighting and sound. There'll be the introduction of a Costa Coffee Express station in the reception area, and similar to ARC, there'll be a fast track reception kiosk which is there to reduce queuing and waiting times. Bakewell swimming pool, there will be new health and fitness equipment in year 1 and 6 of the contract. There will be a much needed refurbishment of the changing village, and along with other energy improvement or energy investments and efficiencies, there will be £88,000 worth of investment spent to try and improve the environmental conditions of Bakewell swimming pool. This will include a bespoke pool air handling unit, an improved building management system, and an upgraded pool water treatment system. Wirksworth Leisure Centre, there again will be new fitness equipment in year 1 and 6 of the contract, improved lighting, sound and flooring in the group exercise studio, the introduction of a clip and climb type auto belay device to increase participation and accessibility to the climbing wall. There will be the introduction of virtual classes as stated before, but one thing that I do want to stress throughout the bid is a strong focus on engaging with Anthony Gell School and its students and trying to encourage great participation and use of the facility by those people. Moving on to the next section for programming and pricing, there are a number of things that were brought out of the consultation process and members' workshops that members were very keen to protect, and I'm pleased to say that each of those points has been protected as part of this process and the submission from Freedom. And excuse me, in year 1 of the contract, the prices will remain as they are at the moment. So prices that were approved, fees and charges that were approved by members towards the end of last year will be in place for this coming financial year. In addition, the court opening hours will remain the same. Freedom Leisure cannot reduce the court opening hours without negotiation with the district council, so don't have free will to do that. However, they have indicated to the contrary and will be looking to see where opening hours can be extended. The school swimming programme is protected. Wirksworth pitch bookings are protected, and the reason that I've picked out Wirksworth pitch bookings over some of our other bookings is because, I want members to be clear, we actually deliver this service on behalf of Anthony Gell School. That will remain the same. Freedom have accepted that responsibility and are looking forward to working with Anthony Gell in the development of those services. The use of Ashbourne Leisure Centre for Shrovetide is protected. The creche at Ashbourne Leisure Centre will be protected for its first year, with discussions due to take place should they be appointed with the current provider of the creche. The use of Arc Leisure for elections is protected, and the majority of club and group bookings are also protected. I say the majority because I have to be open and accept that with the changes to the facility at Arc, there may be some groups that we aren't able to accommodate. However, we're hoping that that number is less than 10, and out of that 10, Dave and his team will be working with Freedom to see how we can try and relocate some of those users or come to other arrangements that satisfy them. Those were the points that members had looked to protect, and as I say, Freedom have accepted all of those. But in addition to that, I think it's worth bringing out some of the added value that Freedom have wanted to bring to our pricing and programming structure, and that is introducing the offer of free swimming for over 75s, free swimming during school holidays for young people aged 16 and under from areas of deprivation, free casual swimming for all children under 5 years, free swimming lessons for Year 6 pupils who have been identified not reaching the set criteria of the national curriculum of being able to swim 25 metres. They have committed to a bank of 1,000 hours to support Rob and his team in sports development through Active Communities initiatives. So that will be working with Rob and his team in rural villages and underrepresented groups for people who can't or don't access leisure facilities for whatever reason. They've also committed to a programme of free activities during the summer holidays, and to all members of the facilities they can access the 80+ Freedom leisure facilities across England and Wales. Staffing. All staff that are affected and are due to transfer as part of the contract are protected under 2P regulations. This includes the protection of their contracted hours on transfer, the terms and conditions of contract, which includes holiday entitlement, their pension. They'll adhere to current policies and procedures, and they'll protect their current pay and grading structure is protected. I would say, from looking at all the bids that were received, Freedom were one of the stronger submissions in terms of staff development and opportunities. There's also, they were the only contract that made it through to the final stage, who were not only looking to retain the same level of staffing that we have, but also looking to build on that with the introduction of sales roles at Ashbourne and Arc, the introduction of an aquatic development officer role, which would cover Bakewell, Ashbourne and Arc, so the 3 swimming pools that we have, but also in a commitment towards working within communities, they are introducing 2 roles, an active communities manager and an active communities apprentice. Those roles will act as liaison between Freedom Leisure and our sports development team, but also will be responsible for building on the relationships that we have developed with public health and other related agencies. Moving on to maintenance and life cycle responsibilities. As I said earlier, there was the option of a core bid or a variant bid, and Freedom's submission is for a variant bid, so they will be taking on 100% of the maintenance and life cycle responsibilities for the leisure centres. This includes all internal works, structure and external keep of the building. What I would say is anything outside the perimeter of the leisure centre building, such as the car parks and the landscaping, will remain the responsibility of the District Council. They have a very proactive approach to repairs. It's something that we have not been able to afford the luxury of at times, but they do have an in-house team that are very responsive to changing light bulbs, making sure the equipment is up and running as it should be, and maintaining the facilities to an acceptable standard to the customers. Each of these points will be an item for discussion in regular contract meetings that will take place with the yet to be appointed contract manager for the District Council, and also there will be annual meetings with partners in the main. That will be Anthony Gell's School, who we have a good working relationship with and have supported and contributed to this review since the beginning, and there will be an annual meeting with them to determine what repair and maintenance requirements are needed for the forthcoming year. So it will very much be a partnership approach. We have considered, as part of this review, the Council's emerging commercial agenda, and have tried to incorporate this in our thinking and development of the specification and contract. As part of that, what we have got is a surplus share agreement. This is a 50-50 share agreement, and this is where Freedom are to make a surplus amount over and above their projected income, obviously less their expenditure. That will be paid to us on an annual basis, which we think is a great addition to this contract. Touched on it slightly. Each of these points need to be well managed. We do feel that the contract and the specification that we've drawn up is robust and thorough, but it does require effective ongoing monitoring and management of that contract. So a contract manager will be appointed to oversee the leisure management contract, and they will discuss issues both on a strategic and an operational basis. This could range from performance indicators identified within a health and wellbeing strategy down to cleanliness standards on site. Regular meetings will take place between the contract manager from the District Council and a representative from Freedom, roughly on a monthly basis. An annual meeting, as I said earlier, will take place with Anthony Gell's School and Freedom, as well as a representative, as probably the contract manager from the District Council. An annual report will be presented to members, as you will see in recommendation 5. We were asking for this to be delegated down to the Community and Environment Committee to report on an annual basis. As a safeguarding measure, what we have got in terms of a clause within the contract is that, and hopefully we won't have to draw on this, but should we need to, any substandard performance can be subject to financial deductions. Which moves me nicely on to the financial savings that this contract offers. The anticipated revenue savings from this review were to be £4 million over the 10-year period. However, what we've actually achieved, should members approve it, is £5.1 million over the 10-year period, based on the current operational costs of this, of the operation of the service. We see that as quite a success. Dave Meehan, who's sat to my left here, we've had a conversation recently about this contract and the performance, and as Damien put it, it's a very good deal. We have achieved much of what we've asked for, in fact all of what we've asked for, as well as achieving significant financial savings. However, I do want to stress that you will see from Appendix 2 of the report, the management fee is not in a linear format. We do pay a management fee in the first 4 years of the contract, starting at £375,000 a year in year 1, but by year 5 we actually move to a position where the contractor is paying us to deliver the service for us. We see that as a healthy position to be in. Because the submission that we're putting forward for approval is a variant bid, we've also got savings on capital expenditure through the variant options on any future liabilities that may occur. Those are the key points, members, that I wanted to bring to your attention, but if I may just finish off by saying that we believe the members can take great confidence in the deal that we've managed to secure. It has been a long process, it has been complicated, it is a complex contract. I appreciate there's lots of information to take on board. We've had relevant officers from across the council working on this for a continued period of time, as well as external support, industry knowledge, as well as procurement support. I feel it's safe to say that we've surpassed the anticipated revenue savings of £4 million by a further £1.1 million. We've shown a continued commitment to improving our facilities by investing in their continued improvement by the initial 1.2 investment from our capital reserve. Our staff are transferring with protected terms and conditions to an operator that's committed to partnership and community working, following on the hard work and achievements that we've already made. Our customers are going to see significant improvements, not only in the development of facilities, but also in the improved technology and accessibility. And also those who need support the most are going to get support that they need and access that they need to those services. And finally, we've eliminated future capital liabilities with a risk transfer under the variant bid. In a nutshell, members, I think that we have delivered everything that you have asked for and more. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Could I go to Councillor Rose?
Well, I think we should give Ash a rest for a few minutes. I've worked out that he's spoken for an hour and 15 minutes in a workshop session and 25 minutes non-stop now, so he probably wants to rest his voice. And I'm sure in what I'm going to say, and others may well say, there's still the opportunity to ask questions when you've relaxed a bit, Ash. But that was a very useful and excellent presentation, and the workshop, for those that were able to attend it, was a good way of discussing things and getting further information. And I can tell from what you've been saying with your colleagues that you feel very passionate about this, because it's something that you've been working on for a very long time. Well, it seems a very long time, or 2 years, probably even longer. And I know you've been ably supported by all those sitting here and elsewhere. So, this is a very big decision for the council, but you made it an easier big decision, and in the sense that none of us really wanted to go down the line of having to do this, but we realised that to achieve the savings we have to achieve, we had to do something different, like many other councils throughout the length and breadth of England have done so. And I almost like it to the housing stock transfer. That was probably the last time we sort of made a fundamental decision where we were actually transferring a whole service from one operator effectively to another. So I think you've all done an excellent job, quite frankly. And then it's not just about saving money. What's absolutely apparent from your presentation and work before is we're actually going to be able to provide the residents and visitors to Derbyshire Dales are actually going to have a better service. In the good old days, we might like to have thought we could sort of finance that ourselves, but it would be totally unrealistic to think that we could do so. Clearly, an organisation like Freedom Lettering is geared to provide a much better service than we ourselves can provide. I know in the workshop you referred to this, and we have our own experts, but I'm sure they all recognise that we're really joining forces with an organisation that has a much broader approach, more resources, and generally is in the business of operating leisure centres for district councils such as our own, whether they be urban or rural. So it's a win-win situation as far as I can tell. And I know Councillor Cat asked the question in the workshop. This is almost too good to be true, and I'm suspicious, quote, of things that are too good to be true. Councillor Ratcliffe is nodding his head because I think he is a bit like that from time to time. It is almost too good, but just because it's that, we shouldn't sort of turn it down because we think, oh no, this can't be true. Because we know it's been tested out. We've had the expertise of Damien and his company in looking very carefully into it. So a lot of work's gone into it, and I think it's a really exciting prospect for residents and visitors to Derbyshire Dales. Old, middle-aged, young. I won't say where I'm in that category. That's what I was to judge, but getting older clearly. So I'm quite happy, in fact delighted to move the recommendation. But I do want to add one further recommendation. You don't know what it is, so you can't really react yet. But I think that we as a council should express our thanks to Ash and your team, and Karen and her team, and all the others in the district council who have been working on this project for so many years. I can't name them all, so I forget all the names to be truthful. And of course, Damien and FMC Consulting for the work that they've helped us. I think we need to formally record that as a council. And I hope that we are going to accept all these recommendations, plus the one that I'm suggesting. I'm sure you wouldn't object to that additional moving. I so move.
Thank you very much, Councillor Rose. Councillor Catt?
Thank you, Chair. Well, obviously, I'm going to second that, and I'm extremely pleased and proud to second that proposal. I think it's fair to say that when we first started on this journey, we all had quite a lot of negative thoughts about it. We had a lot of concerns, but here we are this evening with one of the most positive reports that has come before this council. We had concerns that as a council we might lose the social aspect of the way in which our leisure centres are run, something for which we were very, we put great store by. And we found somebody who we know from their track record works with the community. Every single one of the concerns that we put forward as members have been addressed, and more so. We were concerned about pricing and the way in which those who are less able to pay for these kind of services would be looked after. That has been addressed, and more so. We were concerned about staff. There's not a huge amount in the report about staff. I took the opportunity in the last round of core briefings to talk to some of the leisure centre staff at the Ark and at Bakewell Leisure Centre and also at Ashbourne Leisure Centre. I think it's fair to say that they are all apprehensive, and you would expect them to be apprehensive. This is an enormous change as far as they are concerned. I did my best to reassure them that an organisation like Freedom will see the staff that it is going to take over as probably the biggest asset that it's taking over in this contract, because it's not taking over the buildings, it's taking over those people, and it will be investing in those people, and they will probably have much greater opportunity to progress in their career than might have been the case if they continued working for the council. because Freedom has the resources to invest in them that, quite frankly, the council doesn't have. We were looking to make savings of £4 million over a 10-year period, and Ash and his team have come up with savings of £5.1 million over that period of time. That is frankly fantastic when you consider all of the add-ons that we've got in addition to what we were looking for. I congratulate you, Ash, on your presentations today, but much more on the enormous amount of work that you and your team have done over the past few years in getting us to where we are this evening. As I said, I'm more than happy to second the proposal, and I'm really proud to be moving forward with Freedom in this partnership.
Thank you very much. We've had the motion proposed and seconded. If we move on to the debate, Councillor Slack.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, like Councillor Cathy, Councillor Rose, I'm very, very pleased to see this come about, because 18 months ago it looked very, very precarious. It's like some of the leisure centres are go under and local people have to run them, and it looked very chaotic. But I thank Ash and all his team for all the work they've done over the last 18 months in getting this contract together. I'm also very pleased that it's a not-for-profit company will be taking over running the services. I believe that leisure and health and leisure should never ever be a source of making money out of. So I'm very pleased to see it's a non-for-profit company taking over. Also the pedigree with all the different centres they're running right through the country, they have proven to be a very, very efficient organisation. Some of the things they've come out with by bringing families in, having playrooms and different organisations to bring more people together and make it a more family orientated centre. So there's lots and lots of good things here, and we're very, very fortunate that Ash and his team have got Freedom Leisure to work with us, and I 100% support this, and I think I'm very pleased indeed. So thank you everyone who's taken part in it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Master-Burford.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'd like to echo what several members have said. Thank Ash, I tribute to Ash and his immediate colleagues, and to Damien for all the work done in the last few years, and to the wider review team, if you like. But before we go on to a vote, I'd just like to ask a question now. Ash has got his breath back. On recommendation 1, in the workshop we were told that there would be a 3-month mobilisation period with the transfer on the 1st of August, and on recommendation 1, 16th of May, when the contract commences. So can you just clarify exactly, does that mean on the 16th of May they'll take over the running of the leisure centres, and then they'll gradually develop the immediate improvements they're proposing until they then take off on the 16th of August, I mean the 1st of August, sorry, in full swing, if you like.
If I may, Chair. The 16th of May relates to, if the members approve the recommendations this evening, we have an Alcatel period, a cooling off period of 10 days. So from the 16th, Freedom Leisure can come in and start that mobilisation period. The responsibility still remains with the District Council, and full transfer actually takes place on the 1st of August.
Can we move to Councillor Mike Radcliffe?
Thank you, Chair. I wonder if, first of all, I shouldn't declare a personal interest in being a potential applicant for over 75 free swimming. There's no doubt one or two others in this room that will be, if they're a health enthusiast like myself. I want to ask a couple of questions, if I may. Though, of course, we had a really excellent workshop session next door, and a great number of questions were asked of you, Ash, and your team, and you provided us with very full information. I have to say, first of all, that initially my political conscience rather balked at any suggestion that we were going to give away, or at least relinquish control from what is and always has been regarded as a local authority service. Just to pick up on the point that Councillor Catt has made before about the too good to be true, it is possible, of course, to be very effusive about the substantive gains that we will make from this contract. So I would say the cynic in me wants to say a cautious welcome, because it will be the outcomes that will prove the point, and I'm sure the realisation of what has the potential to be one of the best contracts that this authority has ever negotiated. The benefits are wide-ranging, from increasing in staff, an enhancement of the service, facilities, income, lots of different things, as I say. But when I read the report, it was, I have to say, with mixed emotions. I was sad that we are, as I said before, giving up what has always been traditionally a service that we are providing to make good our aspiration to realise a community and communities who are secure in their communities but will enjoy a healthy lifestyle. This is one of our aims, one of our service aims, a clean, active, healthy community. So I was somewhat reticent at first when I thought that would be outsourcing this. But as my colleague has made clear, from the outset it was going to be a not-for-profit provider, and I think that's extremely important and something that I took on board and alleviated some of that initial concern. The other emotion was clearly the pleasure I had in reading your report and the knowledge that so much was going to come our way. And clearly, freedom, leisure, as you've indicated, is by far and away the best provider that we could have hoped for here. And finally, my emotion was triggered up by relief. Relief that at last we've got the contract in place, because it had been delayed. I think there was an expectation that this was going to be resolved at the turn of 2018, and that all the hard work that has gone into this, not only across the district, but I have to say, being parochial for a moment, within Wirksworth and all its users groups and the school partnership are bearing fruition. I can report back to you, as you probably will already know, that those organisations and groups in Wirksworth and district are satisfied and pleased with what has been put on the table for us this evening. Right, so my questions, that in a sense have arisen from some of that prior discussion, and I think were brought to bear next door. First of all, can you just tell me straight away whether there has been any arising discussion within local user groups within Bakewell and Ashbourne. In the contract, whilst there are some fine words, there is no clear reference to Freedom Leisure working with user groups, though I know that we have always said this is an expectation, but I don't see anything there that would be legally binding. And then, as part of that multi-phase question here, could you just confirm for me that on the successful outcome of tonight's vote, you will be informing my Wirksworth user groups of the contacts at Freedom Leisure that they should approach in order to take forward a very vital and important liaison that they would like to establish, because I have to say I've worked with very particular user characteristics. That's the first question. I'm sorry, it's multi-part.
Sorry, Councillor Radcliffe, can we have your second question?
A second question, certainly, yeah. It's somewhat rhetorical, but do you not think it would have been better to have had a statement of intent from this authority about the 50% share of any profits realised being used specifically for the purposes of health and active lifestyle enhancement across the communities? I have to say, at the moment, if I judge what I was hearing correctly, it may go on into a general pot for use by the authority, which unfortunately does set a perception that the user groups of the service users of leisure centres will effectively be subsidising things like the relaying of tarmac on car parks.
Thank you, Chair. If I can just pick up on some of your points as well as the questions, if I may, Councillor Radcliffe. Yes, I do apologise to members, there was a slight delay. We were hoping to bring this report towards the end of March, and unfortunately due to the bad weather that we suffered, the Freedom Leisure were unable to attend, and some officers were unable to attend the due diligence meetings that we had planned, so there had been a delay. For that, I apologise. On to your questions, Councillor Radcliffe. In terms of user groups, there is a commitment, and it is part of the specification for Freedom Leisure to develop user groups across all the leisure centres. We don't have those currently. We do have very good representation from Wirksworth Leisure Centre, and as I said in my opening regarding the report, they have made some really valid contributions, and we've had ongoing dialogue with Wirksworth user groups and representation from Anthony Gell and the school, as well as the trust. And we want that to continue. We've been very clear in all our negotiations with all bidders that got that far, that we wanted to retain that. It's a good relationship. It's taken many years to build, and we don't want to lose that. And we do appreciate the colleagues who've worked on behalf of Wirksworth Trust, Anthony Gell Trust and the school for their contribution towards getting this far. There will continue to be that dialogue, not only from Freedom Leisure, but also from ourselves. As you said, we've had conversations as soon as this report was made available in the public domain. Rob and Dave arranged to meet with the representatives to talk through the key points and how the contract would impact on the situation we've got there. And I hope I'm right in saying that it was received positively. I think something I would like to stress that probably didn't bring out in the report, one of the reasons that we opted for Freedom as a preferred bidder was because they were one of very few who actually approached all the leisure centres in terms of their investment and development in a proportionate manner. Many of them focused simply on the larger facilities and not the smaller facilities. Freedom didn't do that. And through negotiation, we were able to apply a little bit of pressure and get a bit more out of them. But they've always had a philosophy of making sure that there was a fair approach across all sides. And I think they should take credit from that. Onto your point about informing, yes, we will after today. In some ways, the work doesn't stop. It starts again with a different shape. So we've got discussions and negotiations to have with staff, other partners, including Anthony Gell. So yes, that will take place, and between the three of us, we'll be busy doing that work. On to your final point, I can understand the comment regarding the income share agreement, and personally it'd be great, it would put pressure on the incoming chief executive and the current chief executive to try and spend money within the service. But I think it's fair to say that actually there's a significant amount of investment already being made. We've got more than we had anticipated. And we've kind of pushed the boundary even further through negotiations. So we've got £1.2 million worth of investment in the initial phase of the contract. And then further along, we've got around another £1 million being spent to continually improve facilities. So they're not going to miss out. And we don't know how much that increase there will be. And I think it's fair to say that we have to consider the council's overall financial position, as much as I'd love to see it invested.
Thank you very much. Councillor Douglas.
Firstly, congratulations on this. It's more. I think it is more than we've hoped for. And as everyone says, it is a little too good to be true, which is why I quite like the bit where it says about the annual contract review of community and environment, so we can still keep some form of handle on it. We have got some sort of control. I did just want to add the 1.2 million investment, is that going to be straight in 1.2 million investment, or is it over X amount of years?
Thank you, Chair. The 1.2 is, the majority is in initial investment. So a good example of that is the soft play project that's identified.
Thank you. Councillor Flitter.
Thank you, Chair. Just going back to the cliche that everybody seems to be using, that it's too good to be true. I was always taught to believe that if it is too good to be true, it isn't. And where then that you have to look is to find out what is missing from that. And quite honestly, through this report that's been very well presented, and I take my hat off to Ash and his team, because this afternoon answered a lot of questions, and the report this evening has followed on from that. But my scepticism, like Councillor Ratcliffe, probably comes in because those of us that have been here a few more years realise that not every contract that this council has negotiated has paid full dividend. And we've had problems from time to time. But I think we've come to a stage where we have to have faith in our officers and the team that are in front of us tonight. Because obviously the work that has been carried out here over this period of time has been excellent. We shouldn't fault that, and we should, Councillor Rose, give it full credit, and I certainly support that. Yeah. But one question I haven't heard, and I may have missed it from the report, but in contracts there's usually a get-out clause or a penalty clause, and we've not heard anything on that score. Could you just enlighten us, please, on whether we have that protection? Because a review isn't a penalty clause or indeed any other.
Yes, Chair, thank you. I appreciate Councillor Flitter's concerns, and it's certainly been a concern of the review group. There's been some very well documented incidents involving the collapse of private companies in the news, and that came at a time when we were actually discussing it. So, I mean, I suppose the honest answer is you can never absolutely guarantee it. What we can do is use all the measures and means available to us to safeguard the authority the best we can. And we try to do that through such as ensuring that the successful bidder had a pension bond in place and had a performance bond in place should those situations occur. In terms of financial penalties, we actually do have that, and through the monthly review meetings as well as the annual review of the performance, hopefully we never have to go down that route, but should we have to, there are financial deductions that can be invoked if the performance is substandard.
Thank you. Councillor Pauly?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I've got one question, which is sort of on a practical question. The group exercise studio, I have no idea what that looks like, a group exercise studio. I don't do much exercise, I'm afraid. But is it something that involves static equipment? Because I'm wondering if it doesn't, if you just go in there and you exercise without any equipment, is there any reason why you couldn't put a sliding door or barrier in to allow that area to be used by the other groups that are going to be disadvantaged? That's the first question. And the second one is on pricing. Have you got any indication what kind of percentage increase will happen after the first year?
Thank you, Chair. To your first point, Councillor Pauly, the studio really is just a room with a suitable floor, suitable lighting, and often audio and visual equipment to support music and exercise classes. Very rarely does it have static equipment. The idea is that it can be multidisciplined, so that area can be used for all types of exercise, whether it's a kettlebell session, aerobics session, or whatever it may be. The beauty of them is it has flexibility to be what it needs to be. Yes, you can have separators, and we do use those in some of our sports halls, but the studios generally aren't huge spaces, probably not much bigger than this at ARC. So yes, we do have flexibility in its use. Whether we would want to split that room or Freedom would want to split that room is really up to them. In terms of your second question of fees and charges, the answer is no, we don't know. What we've said all along, and I've always wanted to be upfront with members on this point, is that we have protected those prices and fees for those who need that support, and I think we have a very good concessionary and discount scheme, and that is protected as stated in the report. What we've got to be mindful of is that Freedom do have to operate, and they do have a bottom line to achieve, so we have to give them flexibility on some more commercial rates. So the health and fitness market is an in-demand market, it's an aggressive or competitive market, if you like, and we've got to give them the flexibility to do that. I think one thing we have to bear in mind is it's in nobody's interest to price people out. They don't have to. Customers do not have to use those facilities. They will vote with the fee if they think it's too expensive. So Freedom will operate a payment structure that they feel is value for money, or at least competitive within the market.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Bowden?
Thank you, Chair. Sorry I missed the workshop, but Ash's presentation was very comprehensive, so thank you for that. My politics being that fundamentally I disagree with the transfer of public services to a private company. On the outset of all of this, I had three major concerns: staffing and that their conditions would be preserved, the building and the fact that it was talked about that we'd still be paying for repair costs, etc. And I'm worried about the logic of that and the pricing. I've had these concerns soothed on 2 of those points, so I don't have any concerns about the staffing, but I'll keep an eye on that, and the fact that the building repair costs aren't up to the council anymore is wonderful. On the face of it, the benefits outweigh these concerns. I too was going to ask a question about pricing, and I'm going to put it in a different way. In the contract, is there a ceiling on the amount that the pricing can go up to, or the percentage that it can increase over the period of 10 years?
Bluntly, no, there is not, Councillor Owen. But again, I think the point remains, it is a competitive market. Freedom, just like we do, will be reviewing who is charging what locally to us, as well as what the average market is. There's no benefit to anybody in our pricing people from visiting leisure centres. We often review, and members will recall, quite recently we've actually reduced prices because we want more people through the doors. There is obviously an art to it as well as a science, but they will not want, I'm sure, and I see Damien nodding, which gives me extra confidence, that they're not going to want to price people out of visiting. There's no logic to that.
Councillor Ness?
Thank you, Chair. I think if I was a director of the pleasure company watching this live broadcast, I'd be thinking to myself, hearing all these comments about too good to be true, I'd be thinking, my goodness, we've offered them too much. But I'm sure that's not the case. If you're listening, you've just nicked it. But I'm sure this is good for Freedom Pleasure. It's expanding their empire. It gives them better cost control. It's certainly good for this council. It saves us a lot of money, a good deal of money. It's good for our staff because they're being transferred. But mostly for the residents who use these facilities. You've got an investment here over the 10 years of 2.2 million extra going into new equipment and everything. So, it's brilliant. Just want to come through to a question though, because on the list here, in the agenda, we've got a 28-day period for finalising contract terms. Can you assure me that they can't come back and try to make alterations during that 28 days?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, as much as you can. What I would say, Councillor Finesse, is that we're aware of other contracts in the past that have dragged on, and we've tried to be proactive in that approach by providing the contract terms when bidders made their first application. So they saw the specification, they saw the contractual requirements. As we've progressed through the phases of the procurement, and it's been narrowed down, we've been very clear in our expectations, and we've asked those bidders if they have issue with contractual terms. So we've addressed those before we got to this point. And that has taken a lot of time. It's taken a lot of Sandra and her team's time in making sure that the contracts are as tight as they could be, as well as our external legal support. So we have had ongoing dialogue with Freedom to ensure that that risk is minimised as much as possible.
Thank you.
Councillor Tiverton?
Thank you, Chair. If the situation was that it all went pear-shaped after 2 or 3 years, what provisions are there to cover us, please?
Thank you, Chair. Similar to the point I raised earlier, Councillor Tiverton, I think we're as prepared as well as we can be. We have measures in place, such as the performance bond, which, off the top of my head, forgive me if I've got it wrong, but I think is the value of £250,000. That's there to help us to get the service back up and running again. That's almost the cost that it has taken to get to this point. So if we had to go through the whole process again, that fee would cover that and get the service back up and running again. We also have a performance bond in place, and if Freedom were to walk away, those facilities are still ours. You know, the buildings remain under our ownership. We would have to probably reappoint the staff, but we believe that will be possible.
Can I come back on that, Chair?
Yes.
Thank you.
Is this a question, yeah?
Yes, please. If that happened then, we'd be back to the situation where it was costing us 700,000 a year then to run it again, wouldn't it?
Yes, possibly more, depending on the market rates at that time. But we've done as much as we can to protect the contract. Financial checks have been made on Freedom in August last year, and again in March this year. They had to pass through a process before they were even allowed to get into the technical submissions of their bid. So we feel we've done as much as we can with the means that are available to us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bright?
It's just really a comment. I'm really excited about this. I'm a full leisure user. I'm really excited about the improvements that will be coming and the extra opportunities and the fact that the leisure service will go on and continue and get better. And I think, you know, we're going to have a service that we are joint runners, or whatever you'd call it, joint suppliers of with Future Lever, with the leisure company, and we should be proud of that. It's protecting the service going forward for the next 10 years. A service which, to be quite frank, could have been in threat if we hadn't taken these steps. So yeah, I'm just making it clear that I'm very happy and very excited about what's going to come. And thank you to all the officers for doing such hard work.
Thank you very much, Councillor Wright. Councillor Radcliffe, is this a question?
Yes, Chair. I know I gave some comments before that could be taken as part of the debate, but I wanted to make a final comment as part of the
sorry, not wanting to
debate, if you'd allow me.
I'm happy for you to ask a question.
It will be very quick. Oh no, I have my questions. I want to just say something in closing, okay, as it were.
Can you make it brief?
Yes.
Because this is an opportunity, an extra opportunity.
As councillors and the members of a local authority, we're often put in positions where we make decisions that directly or indirectly affect people's lives. We've had two of those big decisions before us this week. Whatever you feel about the previous one, I feel that this one has the power to do good and to benefit our communities. We're putting a lot of faith in it, as I say, but I think it's the right thing, and I'm sure the outcomes will be realised.
Thank you very much, Councillor. And now, Councillor Morley. Sorry, thank you for your invitation.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah. One of the joys of working with colleagues here on the council is that everybody brings their views, their opinions to the council chamber, but they also bring their life experience, their life and work experience. And I'm just looking around the chamber now, there's probably into the hundreds of years of work and life experience to draw to support our officers. And I'd like to make my own small contribution to that. I've just been doing some research about, or just in the past I've been doing some research about how this company look after their own staff. And they are probably the most committed to staff development in that they are engaged with the top 5 awarding bodies for their own staff. And these are the people who give the certificates out, so you'll be familiar with City and Guilds. But these people are so committed to developing their staff that they've engaged with the Royal Life Saving Society, the YMCA, the FAA, won't be a lot to you. But each one of these organisations puts them through a rigorous approval procedure and charges them a lot of money before they can deliver their training. So if that gives you any comfort on how they're committed to their own staff development, I hope that's useful. And of course I will be supporting the motion, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Councillor Morley. We've got the recommendation set out on page 3 of the report, which has been amended to include thank you to Ashley and his team and FMG consultants as well. That's been proposed and seconded. Can we move to the vote? All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you very much. That was unanimous. Thank you very much for your time tonight. Have a safe journey home. The meeting is closed.